Hi everyone, my name is Naomi Sotira and I'm the author of the book Forgiveness and Healing. And today I'm going to be taking you through the book to read some of the stories in the book. How I wrote the book was to put stories of people like you and me, such that you are able to see how that journey looks like for different people, to see how they had to process the pain and how they managed to walk through it, coming to a place of healing and wholeness. So today we're going to be reading about James, and I'll be paraphrasing. I encourage you to get a copy of the book to read more on it. So James' dad had passed away, Baba waka Shaika, James actually Modiki. And because there was no one in the family to take care of his mom and his siblings, James stood up to the role that now was there. James worked very hard. And they did so well, and they all went outside the country through James' hard working. James akarora akaita mhuri. Aita mhuri akawirwa nedambudziko, and he called out to his family, guys, I need help. But none of them seemed to be coming through for him, you know. And one of the statements his sister said was, we never asked you to do any of those things for us. And I know some of us have experienced this, and we have heard this statement from other people that we have actually helped. And I'm going to just take you through the life of James and how he was actually able to process the pain. So this was really hard. This was tough for James. Remember, James experienced life as a child because he had to rise up to the occasion of what was required in the home. James akatanga kushanda achiri mwana mudiki, and that is all he knew all his life. And he was doing this thinking, but those weren't the values that his other siblings had. You know, the learning points that we learned from the story of James was that James actually acted out of love. This is who James was. So despite the fact that his siblings had said, this was who James was. James had so much love in him. Some of these statements, it's because you acted out because you have so much love in you. You're acting out of love. James had to face the pain in his heart and he had to process it. Imagine being told, you know, as I'm saying, by people, when you've spent your whole life working for these people, you had to face it as it was, and you had to process it. James had to process it by going through the steps which I mentioned in the book, which we're talking about awareness, we're talking about getting in touch with his emotions, grieving for the things that he lost as he was actually taking care of his family. James also had to manage the expectations that he had on his family. You know, that is quite important. He expected his family to be able to reach out and to be able to help him when he needed the help, but no one was able to. James had to manage the expectations that he had for his family, knowing that, you know, the goal would be, I would want my family kuti ndibatsire kana zvinhu zvandiomera, and he had to change it to a desire kuti it would be good if my family would come through for me, but all the same, if they do not, my life is not crushed. Those are some of the things that James had to process, changing the goal that he had to a desire. James continued being the person that he was. He was not changed by the pain that he went through in life. James too called his siblings sometimes when he was able to. You know, pain sometimes, if we fail to manage it, sometimes becomes our identity. Sometimes, if left long, not processed, not dealt with, becomes your identity. James did not allow the pain that he encountered to define the person that he was. He continued being loving. But now, you know, he had to change his goals. He had to process the pain. But this is now coming from a place of love, knowing that I do not hold any expectations on these people. I'm just loving them because I am their big brother. If they come through for me, praise God. But even if they do not, it's okay. I'll still be able to continue and go through my life. Thank you.